Hi Gypsy owners, this is Alicia Garcia again. Today I'm here to talk to you about layering with your Gypsy. We're going to be using the Cricut Gypsy to make some Mickey Mouse images, and they are layered. This is not the actual image that we're going to be working with today. It's just an example of a layered technique. And so when we say that we have a layered project, it's one image that has multiple cuts to it. So there's usually different colors of paper, and you're having to add layers onto a base layer. Okay, we're going to work with Mickey and Friends and our Gypsy so that we can cut out all of Mickey's parts on one mat, load it once, have it all cut out, unload it, and then assemble it. I'm going to be taking you into my scrapbook studio so that we can watch the Gypsy from above. So, let's go! Here we are. I have my Gypsy turned on and I've loaded the Cricut application. I'm going to open a new file. Because I'm working with the Cricut Expression, I'm going to grab my 12 by 12 mat. Before we get started, let's talk about some of the buttons that are on this menu here that affect our project for today. Because we're working with a layered piece, it's very important that the smaller pieces be proportional to the larger base piece. In order to protect that ratio aspect, I have the width and the height set here. And underneath that, I have a yellow chain link. When it is highlighted yellow, when the chain is highlighted yellow, that means that the width and the height are already pre-programmed to be proportional to one another. If I deselect that chain link and it goes to white, they are no longer proportional to one another. For example, if I stretched Mickey taller using the height aspect, he would not automatically get wider. He would just stretch taller and he would be sort of mutated looking. So I want to make sure, first of all, that that chain is highlighted yellow so that anytime I'm rearranging any of my pieces on my mat, they're going to be proportional either in height or width and vice versa. The second button I would like to talk to you about that is over here is the letter A with the vertical arrow. You need to make sure that this is off. This button here is equivalent to the real dial size on your Cricut Expression. So for example, let's say that I cut out Mickey with the real dial size selected in yellow as it is right now, and I said that I wanted Mickey to be 4 inches tall. So here's Mickey and he's 4 inches tall. Next, I wanted to include some shorts, so I pulled up the layer for Mickey's shorts with this button highlighted in yellow, and my shorts popped onto my screen. Because the real dial size is selected, it's going to give me the actual height that I have asked for. So now Mickey's shorts are red. So I have a 4-inch tall Mickey and a red pair of shorts that are 4 inches high as well. Clearly, those shorts are not going to fit. In order to maintain the relationship between my two pieces, my layers and my base piece, I need to make sure that is off. Again, real dial size makes it so my sizes are exactly as my height has requested them to be and not proportional to one another. Alright, so now that we've explained all of that, let's go ahead and get started building a Mickey. I'm going to come over to my keypad, and I'm going to work with this Mickey here. Without any of my buttons selected, I'm going to pick Mickey, and I'm going to work with him as my base. Now that I've chosen him, what I need to do is go through all of the feature buttons and find his accessories. The first one I'm working with will give me his face. So I'm going to exactly the same place that Mickey was located on the previous screen, and I'm selecting his face. Now I'm going strategically through my buttons. I'm going to go to the next button, and here are Mickey's shorts. So I grab his shorts. Moving on to the next button, I can find his shoes. Next button, I see here a pair of shorts that are not related to the actual Mickey I'm cutting out. This is an additional accessory that I do not need, so I'm going to skip this button. On this next screen, this is the shadow for my base Mickey. I don't want a shadow around my Mickey, so I'm not going to select that either. This final button is a border, and it makes a border out of Mickey shorts. I don't need that in order to build my Mickey, so I'm not going to use that button either. So now I've gone through each of my feature keys, and I've selected all of the pieces that are available. However, this is a loaded cartridge, so I need to select the Shift Lock button and go through the buttons again because there are additional pieces that I may need. I'm going to go, and this first one here is a shadow or a blackout feature. I don't need that. Go to the next button. Here I can see that I have the whites of Mickey's eyes and the buttons for his trousers available, so I'll select those. In my next button, I can now see his tongue. I need the tongue, so I'm going to select it and move on to my next button. Here is a black space, which means that there isn't anything available under this particular function key. So reviewing this quickly, I have my base Mickey, his face, his trousers, his shoes, the whites of his eyes and the white buttons for his trousers, and a tongue. Those are all of the pieces that I need to build Mickey, so I'm going to go back to my mat. You'll notice that Mickey is itty bitty tiny, and they are all grouped together because I've selected all the pieces at once. While they're grouped together, I'm going to click the height button. I'm going to select the number pad, and I'm going to tell my Gypsy that I want a 4-inch Mickey. Now I have a 4-inch Mickey, and I have all of his other subsequent layers proportional to that base layer. Now it's time for me to rearrange them on my mat strategically so that I don't have to load and unload my mat with new cardstock each time I want to cut out a different layer. They're currently grouped. I'm going to come here and hit the Ungroup button. There's the Group button above and the Ungroup button below. I'm going to grab Mickey, and he's going to be black. I'm going to put him over here in this corner. I'm going to grab Mickey's face and bring him down here. That's going to be kind of a cream color. I'm going to grab Mickey's trousers and bring them down to this bottom corner. They'll be red. Now I'll grab his shoes and pop them up here in this corner. I'll grab the whites of his eyes and drag them down here. And I'll grab the pink little tongue and pop it up over here. So now I have all of my pieces in different corners separate from one another. If you have Design Studio or DS for your Cricut machine, you are familiar with separating your images so that you can place all your cardstock on one mat. If you do not have Design Studio, next I'll be talking about using the grid of the mat on your screen as a reference point for your mat on your Cricut expression. Zooming in, I can see Mickey, and I can see faint grain lines behind him. Each square on this grid represents 1 square inch. And so if I count out how many inches he takes to the widest point and the highest point, I'll find the dimensions of the cardstock that I will need just to cut out Mickey. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. This bottom part of my cardstock will need to be 4 inches wide. Now I'll count up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because this is 4 by 5, I will need a piece of cardstock cut to 4 by 5 inches in order to cover the surface area of my Mickey.